Hello YouTube. This is Eyes Only, and I know you guys don't know me, but this is my first deck profile, and I'd like to show you guys exactly who I am. So today I'm introducing myself. I am Eyes Only of Solaris Duel Academy, my own personal creation, and I usually only build decks based off original build, so you won't see a lot of like what's the new decks, wind-ups, a lot of injectors. I mean, I might dabble with them, but they're not like direct for me. Like, I don't like them like that. And you know, that's just something about me. You know, I really like original decks, and I like to look for original decks, and that's just my thing. Moving on, we're going to do a deck profile today. The deck profile today is going to be on a new deck I've been building. Alright, so the first deck profile today, we have a new deck I like to call Asura Fleet. And it's called Asura Fleet because it was inspired by Asura Priest. Now, Asura Priest is like a really old card, like so far back. It's a spirit type monster. Very spirit type monster. Now, it's a light type, 4-star, but it can't be special summoned, which kind of put me in a tad, I would say, anger, but you know, a guy like me learned how to control that anger. So moving on, we have its ability, it can attack all monsters on my opponent's side of the field, regardless of position, at least once. No matter if it's negated, it can continue to attack, but it can't continue to attack the same monster that its attack was negated by, because it already declared that attack. Moving on to the other tech choices of this deck, we have Blue Thunder T40, the legendary Blue Thunder T45. Now, this card is my favorite card in like of all decks. This is my favorite. Now, you can't use it for all decks, but it's been a really good card. I've made like 5 decks based on just him. Now, Blue Thunder T45 gets, when it destroys a monster as a result of battle, it brings some friends along and creates a Thunder option token. Now, Thunder option token has 15,000 attack and 15,000 defense, and it's a level 4. Now, the token can't be tributed, but it can be synced, as well as not XYZ. XYZ won't allow that, but you know, I know that stuff. Moving on, we have Effect Veiler. Now, Effect Veiler is a common staple. Almost every deck in the world that I know of, that I've ever seen used or built correctly, is used with Effect Veiler or Max C. Now, the reason I didn't use Max C is because Max C didn't, you know, support the whole idea. I mean, I might side Max C, but currently I don't have a side deck. But you guys understand. Now, we have, next up, we have Guardian of Order. Now, Guardian of Order is a pretty old card. It's like at least a year old, I'm pretty sure. Now, Guardian of Order gets to special summon himself from the hand if I control 2 or more light monsters, which is really easy when I use Blue Thunder T45. Now, that being said, our next staple is Effect Veiler. I mean, pause, not Effect Veiler, I'm bugging. Honest is a very powerful light staple. Now, used correctly, your opponent can't stop you for shit. And with this deck, he's a real threat, because you have Asura Priest and you have Blue Thunder T45. They're both threats. They're both very powerful, and they will kill you. That being said, especially with all these OTK decks running around, if they run into my Blue Thunder T45 or one of my other light monsters, and I have Honest in my hand, it's game over. They're not winning. They're shut down, and they're gonna be shocked. Next card we have is another common staple for almost any deck, but specifically for this one, it hits at least 7 targets. Now, we have Effect Veiler and we have Honest, so those are all good targets to hit. And we have Summoner Monk, which is the next card up. Now, Summoner Monk can special summon any level 4 monster from my deck, so long as I discard a spell card. Now, this is really good because the next two cards that I'm going to show you are very important for special summoning. We have Victory Viper, which is exactly like Blue Thunder 245 without the 17 attack and the 15,000 Thunder option token. The difference with Victory Viper though is he has 3 effects, not 1. He can gain 400 attack, or he can destroy 1 face-up spell card or trap card. And lastly, he can special summon an option token, which will always have the same attack, type, attribute, level, and attack and defense of the card, which means it's pretty much a fucking copy. And that's really brilliant, because if you boost him with Harness, that token will also have the boosted effect from what Victory Viper had gained, which is a real problem, because let's face it, that's dangerous. Now, moving on, we have Vylon Prison, which is so nice with Summoner Monk. It's amazing. You can either overlay or you can synchro. That's a problem. I don't know any other deck that uses it aside from Gustav Max Cannon, which is like one of my favorite decks. I even just rebuilt my Gustav Max Cannon, which is going to be one of my next deck profiles. Now, next we have Black Garden. Now, Black Garden is like a very powerful field spell card. When anyone normal summons or special summons is set by the effect of Black Garden, the attack of the monster that is summoned is divided in half. And you also special summon a rose token to the controller's side of the controller's opponent's side of the field. I'm sorry, I'm getting really rough with these descriptions, but that's all my fault, because this is my first deck profile. The next card we have is Burden of the Mighty, which is a really, really harrowing card to use on your opponent. It's nothing that they can't stop, but it's gonna take a minute. Because we only have like Mystical Space and Heavy Storm, unless you're running into Injectors and other supports that destroy spells and traps. Now we have the next card up. We have Dark Hole. Now, Dark Hole is a common staple, a very common staple. It's not used in all decks, but for the most part, a majority of decks use Dark Hole. Same as with Heavy Storm. They all clear the field in some shape or form. Next we have Monster Reborn, another common staple, which I can't find any misuse for this card. You can either special summon Honest back, you can special summon Blue Thunder 245, or you can special summon Victory Viper, and even Vylon Prison. So it's really, really a good card, especially in this deck. Next we have Mystical Space Raccoon, common staple. Gotta have some type of support to destroy traps and spells and whatever continuous things that happen to hit the field. Because come on, if you see this deck, it's very clear that Royal Decree would be a problem to this deck. And I don't have much of a problem with that because of Mystical Space and my Victory Viper XX03. Next we have Rush Recklessly. Now, what I love about Rush Recklessly is because it's a lot like Honest. The only difference is slight. See, with Rush Recklessly, you can activate it during the damage step and boom, boost 700 attack until the end of the turn. With Victory Viper, this is also a problematic card because the token will also gain this attack. Now, that being said, it's also a surprising card, especially if you use it with the Asura Priest or the other Blue Thunder 245. It really is a very strong card, and it's a quick play, which means you can set it and it acts like a trap. And that, for me, is really good. Next we have United We Stand. Now, United We Stand is perfect for this deck, especially with Blue Thunder 245 and Victory Viper, because those tokens will special summon and your monster will be boosted. No doubt that will be a threat. Maybe a one-turn threat, but still a threat regardless. Then we have Compulsory Evacuation Device. Compulsory Evacuation Device is like a personal tech choice, a staple of mine. It is a really good card. use it against synchros, use it against XYZ monsters. They go straight back to the deck like you never even seen them. And it's like really uncostly. Like there's no costs. Next we have Dark Bribe. I'm not really a fan of Dark Bribe. Not a fan. Why? Because it allows your opponent to draw, and you know that we can't do. We really can't do that. And despite having it in this deck, it's only in this deck for the specific reason of stopping things like Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, and some other cards that I just don't think are very nice or friendly to me. Next we have Fairy Box. Now Fairy Box is a weird tech choice, I'll admit, but it's perfect. I mean, you ever seen a card that drops your opponent's monster's attack to 0? That's Fairy Box. Fairy Box you have to pay for every standby phase, 500 life points. But such a cost couldn't be that fucking bad. I mean, all you have to do is flip a coin and it decides your opponent's attack, if you call it right, that is. And some people just don't have the gift. And in real life, this card would be a problem, especially if you have sleight of hand. If you have sleight of hand, man, it'd be a problem. You know why it'd be a problem? Because sleight of hand allows you to manipulate the options because they can't see. Well, usually they can't see. That's if you're good at sleight of hand. Now, moving on, we have Fury Fervor, my bad. Fury Fervor is like a card I ran across like really randomly while I was building a different version of this deck. Now, Fury Fervor, it equips. It's a trap card that acts like an equip card. It equips to one of your face-up monsters, and if your opponent controls a monster with an attack higher than the same monster's original attack, you can double that attack during the damage step. Well, actually, it's no option. You will double the attack during the damage step only. Now, the next card is a really important card to me. Final Attack Orders. Now, why is it so important? Well, mainly that's because it forces your opponent's monsters into attack position, which is really where they don't want to be. I mean, unless they're more aggro than you, but that's all dependent. Now, the next card we have is Mirror Force. Mirror Force, common staple, but now you're gonna see why we actually have Final Attack Orders and other cards. Nightmare Archfiend. Now, yeah, I only have one in here, and yeah, it might be important to have more than one, but I really don't think having more than one would ever be such a good idea. I mean, because look at these guys, they all have 2,000 attack. That's you give me your opponent 3 monsters that all have 2,000 attack. That alone is like not a good idea, and so I usually try never to activate it. I really wish Ojama Trio was at 3, because then I would just use Ojama Trio, but it's not, and so I had to live with that. Next we have Ojama Trio, of which I was just talking about. Now, Ojama Trio is awesome with Final Attack Orders. Why? Because Ojama Trio has 0 attack. So, let's say I get Asura Priest on the field. Well, then it's game over, because Asura Priest 17, 17, 17, 17 repeatedly ends it. And with that just alone, I mean, the effect of Ojama Trio, 900 damage if they all get destroyed. With that, that's pretty easy. I mean, especially if I have 2 on the field. But imagine with Blackguarded, Final Attack Orders is really good, because then I can attack all those 800 token monsters. I can attack them all. And you know, that's it for this deck profile.